When it comes to men's mental health, or men being the disproportionate amount of suicides, or just men having emotional issues, what men are often told is that they need to open up and that it is toxic masculinity that prevents them from doing that. And whilst from a certain academic perspective, I can understand where that sentiment is coming from, but if you want to actually talk to men about the reasons why they aren't opening up, then the answer is clear. People, and oftentimes this is women, don't want them to, or they want it to occur in very specific ways, which most of the time men just don't know how to do. When men open up for the first time in their lives, they are accused of trauma dumping or treating women as their therapists. And again, I can understand this from a certain perspective. I can't say that it's something that I personally would do, but that's because I have training in therapy. But I can understand why the average person who doesn't have an interest in being a therapist wouldn't want someone to just reveal all of the inner workings of their negative emotional life kind of all at once. And it's not just this that stops men from talking about their feelings or opening up about their emotions or about what's going on for them. I wanted to read a little bit from this article from Psychology Today on some of the reasons why men struggle to open up. In the article, it talks about a few emblematic examples. A divorced middle-aged man who told the author that he phoned his only sibling during an incipient mental health crisis but was asked to call back in a few hours as the sibling was watching a movie. When he called back, the call went to voicemail. An immigrant father who was struggling with mental health issues that affected his ability to work and provide, and when he tried to discuss these issues with his wife, she asked him, "Are you a husband or are you a man?" And you can kind of get the tone that was probably being presented there. Push down your feelings and get the fuck back to work. A male student noted that he has tried to talk about his mental health issues with various peers, but found that they quickly zoned out and reached for their cell phones. He gained a reputation as a whiner and lost friends as a consequence. One of the bits of this article that concerned me the most was this highlighted passage, which says, "There is an assumption that there is a reservoir of competent and helpful people willing and able to empathetically listen to men with mental health issues. However, the scientific evidence indicates that this is not necessarily the case. A lot of people are not open to listening to men talk about their problems in an empathetic way." I recently had an experience myself with this, where I was talking to a friend about certain mental health issues that have been coming up for myself since I was a child, and I just wanted to talk about it to someone, aside from the therapist that I go to every couple of weeks. And whilst I believe that they had the best intentions in their heart, the conversation quickly derailed to them providing me endless amounts of solutions and things that I could do, and the phone call was kind of hurriedly brought to an end. And I left that phone call feeling kind of frustrated because the solutions that they brought to me I already knew about. I should go and speak to a therapist. Well, yes, I've done that. I should maybe go see a doctor. Yes, I've done that also. I should open up about it. I should talk about it more. I'm doing that right now. There wasn't interest in listening to me in an empathetic and accepting way. And I know that for men, this is something that happens a lot. We as men do this to each other as well. Oftentimes men are their own worst enemies in that they don't want men to show up as vulnerable because it is often read as weakness. The article talks a little bit about the costs of talking as it's perceived by men. Some men in mental distress may have legitimate fears that the disclosure of mental health issues will damage their employment status, future job opportunities, and interpersonal relationships. And I know that this is something that applies very much to everyone, but men's concern if they were to bring up mental health concerns in the workplace is that they're going to look weak in front of their peers or in front of their boss. As such, some men may take a calculated cost-benefit analysis, weighing up the socio-occupational costs of disclosure with the potential mental health benefits. And for some men, any disclosure will be deemed to bring more costs than benefits, especially if the labour market indicates they are easily replaceable, meaning that they will continue to struggle in silence so that they can maintain their employment and income. If you want to know one of the reasons why men are the disproportionate amount of suicides, this is it. And yet still men are told that we need to open up more, that we need to share our emotions. But oftentimes we have either so many bad experiences or so many kind of secondhand bad experiences that we've observed with others where they have opened up and it has not benefited them in any kind of major way. And at a certain point it becomes a very frustrating bit of advice, especially if you have tried this over and over again. And this is the problem that you have with generic kind of self-help, self-improvement advice anyway. If you just tell men, well, you need to open up more, it's kind of like telling a person with no friends, you just need to go and talk to more people. This is a very broad and generic piece of advice, and it in no way explains how to do that in an appropriate way. Men are being accused of trauma dumping or accused of using women as therapists, and it's not these men's faults. Oftentimes they are doing this for the very first time. They don't know how it's done. I remember the first time I opened up to my girlfriend about issues that I had. This was way back when, I think I was like 17 or something, and it went awful because I had no idea what I was doing, and I'm sure I did end up just trauma dumping on her. She didn't really want to deal with that because she had her own shit to deal with. Men need a certain level of grace when it comes to opening up. When I was first told that I needed to open up more, I assumed that that really meant just when I was ready, just drop it all, share it all. But there is more to opening up than just trauma dumping, if you will. And this is something that unfortunately men have to learn through experience. And in order for men to learn how to open up appropriately, it means that we need to start having a more empathetic response to men opening up about their feelings and about their emotional experiences and about their internal lives. And I know that a lot of women will try to explain why men have opened up in the wrong way, for lack of a better way to put it. But oftentimes the loudest voices in these conversations are just women yelling at men for trauma dumping and treating women as therapists. And I get it, I really, really do. But there has to be a certain level of grace that you give men. You cannot expect them to do something for the very first time and expect them to do it perfectly. Women are to a much greater extent socialized to open up about their emotions, to open up about their internal lives, to talk about these things to close groups of friends or to mothers, to sisters. Men aren't. To expect men to come into a situation where they're supposed to open up with the same level of experience and expertise as the average woman, it's a bad expectation to have, and we do just have to give men a little bit of grace when they are trying to figure this out. I'm not trying to make excuses for men who are shitty communicators, but if you genuinely care about men opening up and about men combating mental and emotional issues, then you need to let men stumble through this, let them make mistakes, and don't just shit on them for doing it wrong. Anyway, that's really all I've got to say on this topic. If you want to watch something a little bit more cheery than this, you can watch the video on the screen here now, which is all about this men's rights activist accidentally discovering how not to be a creep in the workplace. It's a lot of fun, it's a lot of laughs. Give it a watch, leave a like on this video if you've enjoyed it, subscribe to the channel if you like this kind of content. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below, and I look forward to seeing you in future videos here on this channel very soon.